Hey, welcome. Okay, like I said yesterday in the podcast, I wasn't sure exactly when we were going to get to this, but God, yep, that's right. After the podcast, we were working out that salvation with the Heavenly Father, right? And so I'm like, okay, so how demonic possession works, like how do these demons control their human host? So God said, well, what do we talk a lot about, right? How our thoughts our spiritual power, our thoughts, our spiritual energy. So, yeah, let's let those notifications go out. Yeah, let those notifications go on out. And as that takes place, I'll go ahead and, that's right, go ahead and check in over here as we usually do. And I'm telling y'all, it's, yeah, it's really simple. You would be amazed. It's really simple. And we'll elaborate absolutely. So I want to give it a few more minutes. So in the meantime, wow, okay, those notifications are going out. Boom, boom, boom. All right, yes, come on in. All right, how demonic possession works. I got it for you. We got it. All right, I am Michelle Dickey, your host for CHA's Let's Just Chat show, streaming on the YouTube channel Narcissism and Cognitive Dissonance, where trauma healing and spiritual growth are front and center. That's right. Trauma healing and spiritual growth occur with God's wisdom, basic scientific facts, tried and true techniques, and more. Here and at CHAAcademy.com. The link to the Academy is also in the video description below for quicker access. Some of y'all may need to copy and paste the link to view what CHA Academy offers to help you level up your trauma healing and spiritual growth. All right, everybody. So there you go. All right. Thank you. I've got to get that in there. I got to give that to the algorithms. All right. So I want to go ahead and thank everybody for coming on in and giving these videos a thumbs up and a share. If there's anyone you know who can benefit from the information, by all means, please do. Okay. And so, yes, I see number discrepancies. Nothing we can do about that. That's just it is what it is. Yeah. So anyhow, yeah, okay. We talk a lot about spiritual energy transfer, right? Because we're gonna get there, but all of this ties in together, every bit of it, on how demonic possession works. Because it really, it's not just the spiritual, but I mean, you got to think about some basic psychology facts and sociology facts that are well known. That social influence is very, very strong. That's why God tells us, I'm going to paraphrase here, but he does. He tells us not to walk in the counsel of the ungodly, right? Well, and he also tells us that, lest we become like them. Remember, the goal of the enemy, right, in the spiritual battle for the mind is to turn as many people into a narcissist as possible. That is the goal. Want to turn as many people into narcissists as he possibly can. And we, as chosen one, learn, that's right, learn what not to engage in, how not to behave, right? Once we realize that they are demonically possessed. And then, of course, we have to get rid of the narc fleas too, right? Yes, the demon spirits are trying to get in there, but they're just clinging on the surface, trying to trick us into thinking. Here we go, right? How demonic possession works. Tries to trick us into thinking things about ourselves that are not true. It all ties in. Spiritual energy transfer. Thoughts. Right? Thoughts are our spiritual power and spiritual energy. See, this is why God revealed to me And I asked him, I said, how come there was some hindrances from the previous environment, and not in the physical and not in the spiritual, really, but just in a very minute way, okay, very small way, but I could sense a resistance and a bit of a hindrance for our ministry and whatnot. And God revealed to me it's because of the negative thinking that was occurring with the two Jezebels in that environment. I said, okay, that makes sense because my renewing of the mind taking place, right? So I'm changing that mindset into a positive mindset, right? I'm not bogged down with any of that, right? We're fully healed from the trauma. So, I mean, we can see what's going on. And our empathy is off. And so if you hear the occasional click like that, that's simply because I have something roasting in the crock pot, and that's just the lid, which reminds me, excuse me, I'll be right back. I'm going to keep talking. I said, don't go nowhere. Okay, but he revealed to me that it was their negative thinking, okay, their negative thought process that was interfering with a little bit of our progress. All right, not personally or anything like that, but for the ministry. Okay, because they were acting as though they were supportive of the ministry and the work. But we know what that means when it comes to a narcissist, right? They were thinking negative thoughts, right? They were putting on the act as though they were supportive because they ultimately want to live vicariously through other people's successes, right? But their negative thinking, they really didn't want to see this ministry go anywhere. Of course, we know that's too bad, right? Because God is always in full control. So when it comes to them being demonically possessed, the human host does not know. I need everybody to understand this. A lot of the human hosts don't know that they're demonically possessed. Now, the ones who do know they are, we're never talking about them. Right? We're never referring to them at all. We're referring to the many crept in unawares that God tells us about in Jude 1:4. So they're sitting there, and this is all part of how demonic possession works, because their negative thoughts, right, were a small hindrance to this ministry's progress in that environment. And so there was another hindrance, of course, that Jezebel case study. However, there was some valuable information that we are going to use going forward to help educate you all and answer a lot of y'all questions as well. So that's all part of how demonic possession works, is that they, in the physical, the human host, can put on an act as though they support, while their demon spirits are saying negative things, right, in the subconscious, right, where they're secretly hoping that we don't, right? Because what is it about these evildoers, right? They don't want to see anyone else do what they perceive as better than them in their own mind. So they'll put on the act thinking, that you actually, well, we did believe them until now, until we knew. And now we know that they mean the opposite of what they say. So when one is about to pass away and they tell us, well, I don't want y'all to stop doing what you're doing with your business because of this. What they really meant is, yeah, they wanted us to stop and be at their beck and call. Oh, no, we did not. Okay? Because we knew better. So that being said, we keep on keeping on, chosen one, right? The demonic possession causes them to become a prisoner of their own minds. We've come across that information down the rabbit hole where you see the photos and the memes of, so right, a person's, a character, if you will, sitting on the couch. There's a television set, right? And it's got this bright light, that's frequency, and on the screen it says obey, and that person's just sitting there hypnotized, right? Well, that's pretty much how demonic possession works. You see, over and over again with that repetition with subliminal messages to get the negative thoughts in there, to get expectations of the worst in there, to get them living in fear over their health, fear over their finances, fear over everything, right? Fear. Right? That's all they're consuming. Right? That's part of how demonic possession occurs in the low vibration as well. It's through that the enemy knows this. That's why he does what he does. Because it works. Right? That subliminal messaging over and over and over again. So, hi, Chris. Yes, you are very welcome. Thank you, Chris, for the video request, because I know a lot of people want, they wonder this. I did too. And so at the beginning, like, okay, how does this work? Like, what is going on here? So that's why I am bringing this to you, because it really is very simple. It's their thoughts. But how does that happen, right? So that's what we're doing. Right? And so it's through that subliminal messaging, through all of the fear mongering. Because the enemy knows if he can trick people into living in fear, and many of them don't even know they are living in fear. I've had some narcissists just flat out try and tell me that they're not living in fear, but then turn around and say, oh, but they're worried about this. I'm like, well, if you've got the demon of worry, then you are absolutely living in fear. Let that sink in. If anyone, and if they start complaining, well, if you've got the demon of complaining, then yes, you are living in fear. You know why? Again, fear is the foundation for what? The abuse, traumatization. So they're not going to have demon spirits if they're not living in fear. If a person is living in fear, one of two things is happening. Either they are demonically possessed and are a narcissist, or it's one of us who hasn't been awakened yet that has them that static cling, right? Have the narc flee, trying to get in there, but we realize that the Godhead. Yeah, I love this analogy, y'all. On my walk this morning, he did it. Yeah, he sure did. Because it's like there were some things, right? Okay, the air is a little bit cooler out there, right? And so what does that mean? Right, so as I'm breathing in, right, doing my speed walk, I started smiling as I took that first breath, because it's like, oh, I could feel God. He's getting them tennis rackets out again. Nope, not that middle molecule. No, no, not getting in there. I love the way God works. And so that's the same thing occurring. And that's why for Chosen One, they only could linger. Unbeknownst to us, it's because the Godhead on the inside was like, demon spirit not allowed in. Although we did kind of entertain the thought briefly, right? But then it went away. Have you ever stopped to think about that through your self-reflection? Well, there you go. There's your homework right there. That throughout our lives, Chosen One, while we did kind of believe some things about ourselves that the world tried to tell us, or many things in some cases, remember, purging that subconscious, we unlearn all of that. Again, for an example, I learned that I'm not lactose intolerant. The main reason why the blood type diet has me staying away from the majority of dairy, brought back to my remembrance, is because of some metabolic inhibitors. Not that I can't eat it and be fine. Okay, but the reasoning behind it is metabolic inhibitors that tend to be present in certain foods. Certain lectins in certain foods that are metabolic inhibitors, things like that for my blood type. So it makes perfect sense to me. I'm like, I got it now. But the world tried to tell me I was lactose intolerant. I'm not. So that's just an example to help y'all put it in perspective. Again, use your discernment. But so we unlearn all of that. And at the same time, if we did get tricked into engaging in complaining, but that's only because of social influence. I want to tell y'all something. Chosen one naturally always have been thankful, really, without speaking it. Now we speak it, right? Okay, absolutely. But we've already, like, our spirit and our heart has always been grateful for the things that God brings to us, and things that we actually have, right? The small stuff. We've always naturally been thankful. However, when we found ourselves, that's right, before we knew they were narcissists, they would start complaining, and we would be like, either we agree with them or we didn't. A lot of times we would agree with them, right? Because they mirrored us. So they're going to be able to come up with something and then trick us into doing that. We got tricked into gossiping, right? Same way as social influence. But we never internalized that demon of complaining, because we naturally would not do it when we were away from them. I want y'all to think, okay? Part of that inner work, do that self-reflection, that when you're off doing your own thing, you go to the store, right? Because I know I've been, right. Because I started when I would ask people how they're doing, and they were like, "Oh, not too bad, can't complain." And I started saying, "Well, yeah, complaining doesn't solve anything." And they're like, "Oh, that's true." So it's like they know. Yeah, it's like the human host knows that complaining isn't going to solve anything, but because they don't know that that's the demon of complaining that's right, controlling their sensory motor skills, if you will, and causing them to complain. And then also because of social influence. And so over time, they will continue to complain and complain and complain to the point that it just becomes a natural habit for them to do that. And we now know that when we happen to observe a few people doing nothing but standing there and complaining all the time about everything, but yet cognitive dissonance in action, right? But yet they'll have let's say it's in the home, and they'll have a little seasonal decoration up here, and it says be thankful, but be sitting on the couch complaining about something. I wonder how that works. Well, James 1:8 comes to mind, right? A double-minded, stable in all his ways. There you go. So that's the difference between chosen one and the narcissist, as far as, okay, this is what's happening. We never would fully internalize. I mean, we didn't internalize. We're like, no, because the thing is, as we get away from them, okay, yeah, the narc flea might still be there, but we're focused on something else. Usually, something else has got our attention. And so we're not really thinking about that anymore at that moment. But the narcissist is always, once they become fully demonically possessed, that means they've internalized all of those negative emotions and taken them as their own, like as if they belong to them. Those familiar spirits belongs to them. And well, essentially it does. They do. Because they don't exist without a human host. So there you go. So the human host, the ones who do internalize them, they eventually want to feel however it is they were feeling. They eventually want to suffer. If they do, they might wonder, the human host side of it might wonder why, but the demonic side of them wants that human host to suffer. So the human host is going to internalize that. Because that is one thing I observed with several of them. They actually do like their suffering, along with watching other people suffer. Okay, they really do. It's crazy. It is sick, I know, but they do. They truly get off on watching other people suffer. That's part of how demonic possession works, is that they want, their demon spirits want their own human host to suffer, because those demon spirits feed off of that. And that leads them into further negative thinking. So those negative thoughts that they allowed into their subconscious, they're not conscious that that's what they're doing. Remember that. They are under a heavy cloud of cognitive dissonance hypnosis, right? They're hypnotized. That's how demonic possession works. Got to get them hypnotized so that they don't even know that they're a mind-numb robot. Okay, got to get them hypnotized first. And then, over the years, I'm going to tell y'all something. This narcissistic abuse, right? It takes a long time to fully traumatize, if you will. Okay, it does. It's slow and subtle. Demonic possession is the same way. Slow and subtle. So they're sitting there in front of, the television, watching prime time, whatever, adult game shows that are, never mind. If you're into that, you're into that. It's whatever it is. But we're supposed to outgrow that stuff. But when you're watching toddlers in adult bodies, they're not going to outgrow that stuff. So the enemy knows it. That's why you've got to put these things together. He's got to keep his toddlers in adult bodies entertained and ultimately keep them demonically possessed. Right, and they won't know it. I'm going to get to your question here in just a moment, okay? So that's how it happens over time. And so they get conditioned to believe what the world tells them about themselves. That's another part of how demonic possession works over time. And so they're sitting in front of the television. What do you see, right? What do you see? All kinds of scare tactics for their health. And then all kinds of, that fear-mongering. Think about it, y'all. The emotional manipulation on the world stage, on the societal level, it's through that emotional manipulation that demonic possession can occur as well. Think about it. This is why chosen ones become awakened. God awakens us and says, that's not going to happen to my child. Okay? Yeah. God said, that's not going to happen to his chosen one. He awakens us. He's going to wake up more of his chosen one on his time, at his appointed time, just like he tells us. Remember, God's a promise keeper. To help us get control of ourselves, get emotionally regulated, so that we don't become demonically possessed. Because is it possible for a chosen one to do that? I would like to think not, but we know that anything's possible. We pray that for a chosen one that they don't. But it, like all things in life, it can. That's why the spiritual battle and the spiritual awakening is not for the faint of heart at all, like I say often. Seriously. So as they become demonically possessed, they become part-time narcissists, right? Part-time one, meaning they'll start dishing out little jabs here and there, but they don't abuse on a 24/7 scale or every day of the week. You know what I'm saying? It's like they don't do it all the time. So that, for many of them, that's what kept us like trauma bonded, because we're like, well, they don't dish it out all the time. We didn't know. But that's the beginning of demonic possession right there. Is when they become a part-time narcissist. You know, and because the part-time narcissist is the run-of-the-mill. Okay, a part-time narcissist is the run-of-the-mill narc. Whereas the full-blown Jezzy tend to become sociopaths and psychopaths. That's when they are fully demonically possessed. They got every demon spirit there is. Every negative emotion they have internalized. But when they become a Jezzy, remember, that is really what the enemy wants. But he wants to keep his part-timers around too. Yeah, to try and keep deceiving us. So what do? We learn that at the sight of the first red flag, that's all we need to know. For example, if the adult comes to us with a sob story and puppy dog eyes, that's demonic possession in action, and now we know that they are demonic, and no means no. It goes no farther than that. We do not associate with them because that's not normal. That is how demonic possession works. Is a grown adult will somehow know how to give puppy dog eyes. How do you think that is? The human host doesn't even know that with their facial expressions and eyes, the human host does not even know that they're doing that. They don't. That's the crept and unaware. That's part of the crept and unaware God's talking about. Again, Jude 1:4. The human host has no clue that they are actually doing that. This is why I've said before that when one of those Jezebels gives us the evil eye, well, the evil eye is a Jezebel trait. So that means that the human host that's doing it does not know they're giving us the evil eye. No, they don't. Okay, but we automatically know that's a Jezebel. So that's how demonic possession works. Is that they don't even know that they're doing it. That's a spiritual thing. Now, do they know if they're looking at somebody in a perverted way? Yes. They're aware of that. Very aware of that. Anything like that is, well, a sin, for one, right? Because what does God tell us? Also, he says, yeah, if a man looketh upon another man's wife, he's already, I'm paraphrasing, already committed adultery. Like if you're lusting after someone else's spouse, then you've already, you've already done it. And so that's what's happened. Is that when the narcissist does that, and they look at, female narcissists do it too. It goes both ways. Female narcissists will look at a male, particular part of the body, with lust, the same way a male narcissist will look at a female's part of the body lustfully. And we catch these things in the spiritual now. And so when they do that, they've already committed adultery. And, right? It is part of the demonic possession. In action. Absolutely. Because that is the demon of what? That's right. Seduction. So with the demon of seduction, there you go. It's not only trying to seduce the person they're looking at, but that demon of seduction is also seducing the human host. Let that sink in. Demonic possession in action. But they don't even realize that that's what's happening. And so their thoughts, spiritual wickedness in high places, right? Right. So they start having these illicit fantasies. And that is how the demons control the human host. It's through their thoughts, right? Gets in that subliminal, box back there, the subconscious mind. Okay, with subliminal messaging over time. And so they're going to think that it's okay to, for example, this is very common, that a step parent who happens to be a narcissist, right? A step parent, let's say it's a male step parent, looks at, let's say the female that they married has a daughter, then that male narcissist, through demonic possession, is going to look at their wife's daughter lustfully. Same thing for the female narcissist. Let's say that their husband has a son. The female narcissist is going to look upon that son lustfully. That's all demonic. Demonic possession at work through the demon of seduction. And we all know that that one can be quite strong. Why we learn to resist the devil and he shall flee. James 4:7. Okay, it's time to go ahead and take a look at the chat here. All right, so the first 30 minutes. So y'all got a better understanding of how it unfolds in action with demonic possession, like how it works in that way. And it's through those thoughts because, listen, the human host has to have, right, got the demon of seduction, the demon of complaining, the demon of envy, the demon of jealousy, right? And so their subconscious mind is hijacked by the demon spirit. So the demon spirits start controlling their thought. So they could be sitting there and they won't say nothing, but they'll be looking at one of us, the chosen one, or another narc. Listen, we're not the only target. They do it to each other too. Although chosen ones tend to get targeted the hardest, but they won't say anything necessarily. In fact, I had one give me that. It was a glare of disdain because what they had to do to see if they could get a rise out of me was not working. And so they were naturally getting flustered. And so I caught it out of my peripheral, that glare of disdain. And so what's going through their mind is, how dare she? Things like that. How dare she be so cool and calm? Right? That's exactly what they're thinking. You wouldn't know it because they're not going to say it. Okay, there you go. Spot on right there. If you can't admit that you're carrying fear, denial is the devil's way. Remember, cognitive dissonance causes denial. That's part of the demonic possession in action as well, is that cognitive dissonance causes denial. Now, again, discernment, because when we had half of that cloud of cognitive dissonance, we often didn't really deny the bad behavior. God was taking notes, okay? But we did excuse it because, well, we didn't know yet. Now we do. So we stopped doing that. There's a difference. Well, absolutely. That's what chosen ones are here for. All of us. Come on now. Supposed to cheer each other up. Uplift one another. Right? That's right. Uplift one another. Okay? All right. So, can someone who is suffering demonic possession, is there anything they can do to help themselves? Well, they have to know that they are demonically possessed. That's the thing. Yeah. They have to know that they're demonically possessed. And then they're going to want to have deliverance, right? They have to want, there you go, deliverance. They got to know first. And then make that conscious effort, go, oh my gosh, I don't want to be demonically possessed. So, you know what I'm saying? They have to know that. But the unfortunate truth is that if they are so heavily trauma bonded and conformed to the world, they're not going to ever know. And that's the thing we come to realize, is that those who are definitely, and I know some people are not going to like this, but if you've come across somebody, okay, who, it is unfortunate, because if you come across somebody who you identify as a Jezebel, and they are late 30s, early 40s. Too late. It's too late. I know some people don't want to hear that. You'd be like, well, it's never too late. If they are a full-blown Jezebel, late 30s, early 40s, if they are a full-blown Jezebel, they're never going to know that they are demonically possessed. So it is too late for them. Now, for the part-time one, if they come into realizing, oh my gosh, there's hope for them. Okay? But for Jezebel, and they are fully conformed to this world, you'll know. Oh yeah. But you get the education and all that you need. If they are 100% conformed to this world, in other words, they're following the crowd and they're a full-blown Jezebel, you'll know. Watch out for the flamboyancy, right? The flamboyancy. And then the walking into, let's just say, a store as if they own it. Watch out if they are trying, seeking out, trying to butter up management in that place. Watch out for that. That's a red flag. And if they are doing things, let's say you come across one of them and you are interested in working on a project and it happens to be in that establishment. They invited you, say, to stay over for a few days. When you want to do some work, and then they start coming up with excuses why, well, you can't do your work in that room because, oh, well, that's not going to work in that room either because, watch out for that. They're trying to, right, exactly. They're trying to exhibit control and they're trying to prevent you from getting any work done. So the best tip is get out of there. Get out of there. If you start to sense that, it's time to go. So, yeah, prayers is all we can do. Prayers and turn them over to God. And keep on keeping on. When we come across them. And then continue to pray for the part-time one because there is hope for them. And I'll give y'all an example. I pointed out to one that I caught the tone was very hesitant though when he did it. Tried to guilt trip. And he admitted it. He was like, oh, I guess that was. And I told him, I said, well, I heard the hesitation in the tone as if you really didn't want to do that. See, there's hope for part-time one. There you go. That is another way the demon spirit control the human host. How demonic possession works. Yes, is that they become so self-centered, indulging only in themselves, wallowing in the negative. Exactly. The pity party. I had a Jezebel admit to me that they were having a pity party and that they'll get over it soon. I'm like, okay, good. I'll walk away. I'm like, leave them there. So, how can someone get out of that hypnosis, the cognitive dissonance hypnosis, if they're not aware of being under it? That's where God comes in. That's where God comes in. The only way. For those of us who have always been true believers. See, God knew that about his chosen one. He knew that we've always been true believers. We just didn't know what we didn't know yet. I mean, it's like God's like, yeah, I know you didn't know. Now you do. Time to repent. Okay? So that's where God comes in. Because remember, we were under a half of a cognitive hypnosis. Half now. Chosen one. Because we caught the weird stuff. We didn't know what it was. We took notes. But we would make excuses like, well, maybe they're just having a bad day. That was that half of confusion that we had. But we noticed here and there when action didn't match words, and it did confuse us, didn't it? And so now we learn that God is not the author of confusion. So if they're not aware that they are under that cloud of cognitive dissonance, the hypnosis, or you call it the confusion cloud, if they don't know, well, it's up to God, really. It truly is. Because we learn something, right, in God's reality, that when we identify that they are demonically possessed, that they are just so worldview blinder on that that they are eating up whatever it is they're being told, a lie about things that are going on the world stage that are not really going on, and that they're being tricked into engaging in all of that, right? All of the bad behaviors by the talking heads when they turn on anything that had to do with the P matrix, the M matrix, and then the other P matrix, big, So anything that had to do with those, that triangle, y'all, PMP. Okay, that's your matrix. Then there's a bunch of little matrices inside that. But those are your top 3 that are running the show on the world stage. And let me tell y'all something. None of them are as big as they think they are. Many of us are catching on. Many of us are catching on to their tactics. So we quit buying the stuff that doesn't work. That's right. And we are not, chosen ones never have, like I've said before, chosen ones never have been hypochondriac. So that's the other thing. Anyhow, once we've identified that they are demonically possessed, and they don't know that they are under that hypnosis, we got to leave it to God. Because if we try to tell them, because I did, how I learned, tried to tell them, you do realize that right there is just an illusion. It's not real. Boy, they puffed out their chest, and you could feel their demon spirit getting rattled, all that fear. Because, oh no. Because the demon spirits were afraid if we're dropping the truth breadcrumb, all right, about the news being part of the entertainment industry, and that, don't believe none of it. So, right, the demonically possessed who don't know that they are hypnotized, that they are trauma bonded to it. Never forget that. They are heavily trauma bonded to that matrix. And so, because of that, their demon spirit, when we speak, their demon spirit, no, we're telling the truth. And so it rattled them. And so the human host starts to experience the fear of the demon spirit. Especially after all, they've got the demon of fear, right? It's that demon of fear that gets activated. And they puffed it. I felt it. I was like, oh, wow. Because the human host is afraid of the truth. That's what demonic possession does to them, is it makes them afraid of the truth. They would rather continue to sit there and believe all the lies because it's easier to do that. Remember, God tells us, 2 Timothy 3 and elsewhere, right? Yeah, he's telling us that that time comes. They will not listen to nor hear sound doctrine. They won't. And God also tells us that they are forever searching and learning, but never coming to the knowledge of truth. Truth. That the world is a stage, and that they are trauma bonded to the world and to the matrix. And they'll never know they're demonically possessed. So that being said, again, we turn it over to God. And we got to walk away. So, should we be referring to narcissism as demonic possession? Oh, we do all the time. Absolutely. Yes, because that's what it is. Narcissism, that's really simple. Narcissism it's a spiritual battle for the mind, right? But yeah, if they've got the ism mindset, yeah, it's demonic possession. Absolutely. And so we allude to that all the time. Yeah, because it's true. The enemy knows it. Oh gosh, yeah. So, exactly. They have to accept responsibility and admit that they have a problem, and they don't think they do. That's the other part of how the demon spirits control their thoughts. So they've got that high-mindedness. They're thinking more highly of themselves than they ought to. And so ultimately, they're going to be like, well, then that means that they don't have a problem, that there's nothing wrong with them. There's only something wrong with them when the M matrix tells them there's something wrong with them, health-wise. So that's it. This is why I said, chosen ones, we know. If we did something to ourselves, we're going to hold ourselves accountable. Oh, yeah. Y'all, for those who haven't heard this yet, but yeah, I hold myself accountable big time for the poor dietary choices I made over the last, you may as well say, year. That's on me. That ain't on nobody else. That's on me. I own that. Narcissists will never do that. Nope, absolutely not. They won't admit that they've got issues. So if the ratio of narc to chosen one preordained, or chosen ones are by definition chosen out of the narc matrix. That's a really great way to put it. Yes, we are chosen out of this world, but Jeremiah 1:5 lets us know that we were already chosen before we were developed in the womb. Think about that. Jeremiah 1:5. Before I formed thee in the womb, I knew thee. I sanctified thee, set us apart. I ordained thee a prophet unto the nation. So you think about it, he chose us before he even formed us. It's like he knew. You know how God, he's like, yep, okay. And how he chooses the human host that he chooses, because I found out that mine was a Jezebel before she gave birth to me. I realized that. God revealed that to me. I was like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yes, she was. Already one. So I was like, see, God uses what the enemy dishes out for his glory. That's why. So if anybody's wondering why in the world God chose your Jezebel parent that gave birth to you, that's why. Because God uses what the enemy dishes out and flips it for his glory. Here you go. So narcs are chosen also to be narcs. I can't say that. No, based on my observations and case studies and things like that, demonic possession does occur somewhere in the childhood development era. It does. Exactly when, that's tough. I think it's different depending on circumstances. Okay, yeah, it has to be, because there's always going to be an average. There's always going to be a range. Like how they get stunted emotionally between ages 3 and 5. So you got a range there, right? So as far as when they become a narc, when they start becoming demonically possessed, but But I will tell you, it's not during infancy. That I can tell you. I know some people want to argue with me on that, but we're not going to argue. God revealed it to me. During infancy, no. Once they enter into toddlerhood, actual toddlerhood, and then beyond, it's a toss-up. But you got to also remember this too. What do children do naturally? Okay, they're going to emulate. So we have to keep this in mind. This is why I cannot say that the narcs are chosen to be narcs. Narcissists are turned into narcissists by external forces. Let that sink in. It doesn't mean. Now, I had somebody ask me a question. They said, well, is it possible that a person could be, like not a narcissist, but not a chosen one at the same time? That is possible. I've run into some. Not necessarily a chosen one, but they're also not a narcissist. Look, y'all, we're still observing that one. That's a new one on me. I was like, how is that? But they're typically they're nice people. They're not out here trying to steal, kill, and destroy. But they're also just not a chosen one. Yes, y'all, there's that gray area. So listen, I could be wrong, and God will correct me, but so far, that's where we're at with that one. So stay tuned, okay? Yeah, I could be wrong about that. They could very well have been or are a chosen one, but just don't know it. We do know that. Okay, so there's a lot of things that go into that. But as far as a narcissist being chosen to be a narcissist, no, they are turned into a narcissist by external forces. All things external, right? Subliminal messages, right? Evildoers out here telling them this about themselves, right? Yeah, okay. The same conditioning and grooming that we went through as soon as we were born into this fallen world, they also went through. It just happened to work on them and not on God's true chosen one. So he wakes us up and we go, oh, wow. Okay. So the ratio, I want y'all to remember something. The ratio between narcissist to chosen one, God always had to keep a cosmic balance. So do not, I know you're going to go through that season for whoever needs this. If you are there, keep going. Because it's going to seem like 80% of the world population are narcissists, okay? It's going to seem that way. Note the keyword seem. The enemy is all about appearances, right? So he wants to make it seem as though. God said, What do we know about the fallen angels, right? And what do we know about man? Okay, the fallen angels are what? 1/3. What does that mean? That God's angels are 2/3. Which means, even though many of us have 85% of biological family who are narcissists, those of you who don't, many blessings to you. All right. So, yeah. So think about that. That's your ratio. I know God said that many are called, few are chosen. Don't take that so literal, because you got to remember something. What year? Right. What was it? Right. Okay. So you're looking at, millenniums ago, right? Years ago. Maybe not millennium, but years ago. Decades ago. What do we know now, right? Population has grown despite Oh, that reminds me of that from the rabbit hole. Oh yeah, the Georgia, what are they called? The Georgia Stone, what have you, blah blah blah. Try to The enemy cannot reduce population, y'all. Trying to, but it can't. Because God is in full control. That's why. And here's the other thing. Why would the enemy want to do that? The enemy don't really want to do that. The enemy needs human host to exist. And so if he reduces the population, well, he's basically going to dig in his own grave. I'm serious. Think about it. If the enemy were to try to reduce population, well, he reduces the number of human hosts he can possess. Kind of like the big P, you know what I'm saying? If they actually found a cure, they'd put themselves out of business. Come on, y'all. Evil plays both sides. I can't help but chuckle at how stupid the enemy is. But a lot of people believe in that. Listen, it resonated for a short time with me, but then I started going, hold up a second. He needs a human host for these demon spirits. Why would he want to believe what you want to believe? It does seem like there are, just regular, nice, good folk. Yeah, and I'm we're on that. We're on that. But, right, we don't choose our parents. God does that, obviously. And then, that's a good point. Thank you, Chris. Perhaps when the stage of development, when our personality starts to develop, there could be a connection there. I'm going to write that down and look into that for you all. Okay, demonic possession. Can begin and right, because what do we know about narcissists, right? They have no personality of their own, right? They don't, so that's why they mimic, right? And they mirror the personalities of other people. And they're target, right? Because they don't have their own. So that's really good. Thank you. Because that's a good connection. I can sense it. So we're going to call that personality development. Absolutely. Because I'm going to look into that. I'll be talking to God. Absolutely. I know there's going to be some of God's word to help with that. Absolutely. Yes. The guide stones. Don't believe that mumbo jumbo. If you are believing it, time to purge that subconscious. Because I will tell you, right? Remember, for those who haven't heard this, I remember in undergrad, that's why God revealed to me that my spiritual awakening actually started beginning while I was in undergrad at age 36. I just did not know that's what it was because I started asking questions based on, I had some assignments to turn in for the criminal justice bachelor's on the wall back there. So I was like, okay, hold on a second. I was like, I got some assignments to turn in, but I had to use the U.S. Census Bureau, right? But then also on the news, what do we hear every day? Oh, this many were killed here, this person dead there, all these people dying all the time, right? That's all you hear about, that negative low vibing, right? Get people living in fear. No wonder the narcissists are afraid of death. Go figure, right? Okay. So I remember looking at the U.S. Census Bureau numbers, and from the beginning of the quarter, 11 weeks later, but yet all of this stuff is occurring, right? And I looked at the numbers and I went, that didn't change much. in 11 weeks, the U.S. Census Bureau numbers for population, number of people in the country, didn't change much at all. But yet, thousands. Y'all got to realize that when you start to see that matrix out there like to blow everything out of proportion, right? Like to make everything a big deal. Because it has to fit the narcissist, their twisted perception of reality and their toddler mindset where everything is huge, right? Everything is a big deal. All righty then. And I remember asking that question to some fellow students, only to be met with blank stares. I said, so if we have all these people dying on a regular basis, how come the U.S. Census population number has rarely changed or rarely changes? Because it makes sense to me. And I was met with blank stares. So that was the beginning of my spiritual awakening, because I started asking questions like that. Because we're paying attention now, right? So now we know, though, why that number rarely changes, right? Yeah, now we know. Because there's not that many people dying on a daily basis. That's why. And not only that, numbers can be manipulated real easy. So when they tell us that there's 8+ billion people on this planet, can we believe that? No. Can we believe that there might be double or triple that? Yeah. Because what did they have us believe? Oh, I know what they tried to have us believe. They tried to have us believe that here in the 21st century, women are not having babies as much as they used to. Well, yeah, they are. That never stopped. Because, of course, they are. If we learn something, what narcissists, they want to have children, right? They got to have children. They need to have children. So, of course, babies are being born. That never changed, because narcissists got to have kids, right? They need them. They want that parental status, right? And they want to try and see if they can't at least get, a golden child, right? They got their assignment, right? The narcissists who are parents, right? They're part of their assignment to turn their children into one of them. Oh yeah. And so if there's 2 or more, you're going to have a scapegoat, and you're going to have maybe even more than one golden child. Who knows? Depends on how many. Yeah, right. Exactly. Run out of human hosts. So where would be the fun in that? Exactly my point. Right? You know what? The story of Cain and Abel very well represents. That's right. Represents the battle. Be about a narc versus an empath. Absolutely. Good catch. Good catch. Oh, there are a lot of narcissists that have children, don't get married. And then a lot of narcissists who get married so they can have kids. I mean, it goes both ways. All right? I mean, seriously, when you stop and think about it, it's like, okay, well, of course that can go both ways. Because the enemy needs to have as many humans roaming this earth, demonically possessed, as he possibly can have. But here's the thing, is that, again, God is in full control. And it's just, yeah, it's just one of them things. And we learn more and more in God's reality and in the spiritual awakening, how all of this, plays out. And I don't know how long this streaming is going to go for, but as long as it needs to get these questions out, because how demonic possession works, man, I'm telling you, it goes deep. But in its simplicity, for those who have not heard it yet, you catch this on the replay. It really boils down to thoughts, because our thoughts are the spiritual power. Our thoughts are spiritual energy. I mean, after all, you have to stop and remember it's a spiritual battle for the mind. Why does the enemy want to try and get control of our thoughts so badly, right? Well, there you go, because that's how he gets his demon spirit in there to control the human whole and their behaviors. So you have to think about it for a second. Okay, all of the things that they engage in, right? They've got the demon of jealousy. Oh, it'll show. It'll show because they'll start trying to play that one-upmanship game. And in subtle way, they will try to, well, they got the demon of comparison. So, and I'm not talking about the fact that, listen, we do comparing, okay? Like, I will compare the two brands, okay, how much sodium is in this one versus how much sodium is in this one. I'm going to pick the one with the least amount of sodium, okay? That kind of comparison is not demonic, all right? So we're not talking about that. You got to remember that, okay? So when I say demon of comparison, talking about when it comes to the narcissist comparing themselves to other people, comparing their materialistic items to other people's materialistic items. Okay, that's the sin side of it. Okay, so you do have actual true blue comparing. Okay, so let's not call it comparison then. We have comparing, which that's what you're doing, comparing two products to see, okay, which has the least amount of whatever it is you are trying to cut out of your diet or cut down on, right? There you go, comparing. That's not demonic. Okay, that's productive. Then you have the demon of comparison when it comes to the narcissist. And that's what they do as they compare themselves to other people and things. So it's all part of that. Exactly. So it's their thoughts. You know, they are not, because they're not in control of themselves, so they're not in control of their own thoughts. Think about this. When God awakens us, chosen ones, to and from all of that, and we do get control of ourselves, yep, we start putting away the childish things, right? We start getting rid of the narc fleas, right? I'm feeling like dancing. All right, we start putting away all the narc fleas, okay? And overcome those triggers, right? Okay, we do. Keep going, y'all. Keep going. It's totally 100% possible. Many of us can attest to that. We are guiding you on this journey to get fully healed from the trauma. Because, listen, walking in your purpose, you cannot be easily triggered. It ain't going to work. Because you will experience setback after setback after setback. That's why God said, need to get you fully healed. Because we cannot let things get us bent out of shape anymore, right? Can't let things, can't let these narcissists trick us into reacting, that's right, to their stuff anymore. So we learn to observe more, speak less. And, you know, as they continue to engage in the behaviors that we no longer excuse or ignore, we take note. And so just like the little toddler and adult bodies that they are, once we give them a certain look, they know we know what they're trying to do. And they have to knock it off. Again, resist the devil and he shall flee. Okay, so yeah, to keep those thoughts and actions positive. There you go. All right, we get control of ourselves. Okay. Yes, God says that's all we can do is get control of ourselves and get control of our own emotion. Okay? And know that, if it's a negative one, that's right. It is external. It's not coming from the Godhead on the inside of us. We get to this point where we understand, okay, you know what? We take that moment to stop and think about what it is. Hold on a second, because it's trying to trigger you, right? Trying to trigger us. And so in order for us to not let it do that, we stop. We'll hold up. That's not coming from the Godhead on the inside. So where is it coming from? And if God needs us to see, like I say often, he'll show us. Or he'll tell us. It can come through a song. It can come through a movie. It can come through just a regular TV show. It can come through, a number of sources. And of course, a narcissist if they're in the environment. So, all kinds of things to think about. This is how we don't allow demonic possession to occur. Okay, you all? And I appreciate everybody understanding, but I have got a ding, 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 ding going on over here. So I'm going to keep talking, but I got to get a battery. Right? Because I don't want to lose that as I continue with you all. So, yes. All right, we continue thwarting those fiery darts. Think about it, y'all. Those fiery darts, those fiery darts are triggers. All the abuse, right? Okay, then. So those triggers are what? Demonic residue. Let that sink in. You know what residue is. So think of it as demonic residue. Those triggers. Think of it as, because it's just a clinging, right? It's just a little bit of residue. It's trying to get in there. And so we learn to go, oh, never mind. We don't let it. Because we've got that power and authority on the inside of us to not allow it to get in there. So we are able to, once we're able to get control of ourselves, think about this. When God awakened us, right? This is what the narcissists don't have because they're demonically possessed. So once they're demonically possessed, they lose any ability to self-think while being tricked into thinking that they are self-thinking. Talk about cognitive dissonance in action, right? Because they do. I have heard them, those who are listening to the news, right? They're listening to what they're being told, right? And they're talking about how a certain side doesn't have the ability to self-think. And so I remember seeing them because they're siding with a particular side, right? One or the other division. So they're trauma bonded to that side that's talking about the other side, gossip, right? Okay. And then, we could go forever on that. But anyhow, so the demonically possessed will actually sit there and go, that's right, they don't have the ability to self-think. And I'm in my mind going, neither do you. But they think they do. You see? That's the trick of the enemy. That's another way of how demonic possession works. That's another way that demonic possession works. There you go. And, right, because they don't know. They don't have self-thinking ability, but they think that they do. I know. I had to say that again, because it's going to take a little while for some of y'all for that to think, wait a minute, how did that happen? Well, essentially, right? So demonic possessed, they're brainwashed into becoming demonically possessed. That's the way to put it. So God awakens his chosen one, and we get control of ourselves, which means, that's right, he's given us. It's like, all right, you got control of your own mind back now. Right? Full control. I mean, we never lost 100% control, mind you. Remember, half of it was, still kind of like, but we didn't know anything else yet. Right? Okay, so we kind of went based on what we knew. And the enemy knows that that's human nature too. But God awakens us and lets us know, okay, wait a minute. Now we know what we're dealing with. Evildoers. So, that being said, we learn to go, and part of learning how to get control of ourselves is getting control of our thoughts. Absolutely. 100%. And yes, we can. Yes, we do. Because you got to remember, while we're purging that subconscious, Okay, yeah, while we're purging that subconscious, we're mindful of, because you have to think of something here. Purging that subconscious requires what? A door to be open just a little bit. And then part of that, exactly, this is why while we're out and about, here you go. This is a mental and spiritual, y'all. If you are in the vicinity of your own, you're just the Godhead in you, and you purge the subconscious, do it then and there. But before you go back out, it's like putting that armor of God on before you open that door. Well, close that. Close that door to the subconscious before you go out there. That's your tip. But seriously, in order to purge it, the door has to open just a little bit. And so before you go out there, you will make sure, okay, close, we're not purging the subconscious. In other words, it's spiritual, you are, and mental, yeah. But you basically, that's just an analogy because that's how it works. So that way you don't let anything get in there while you're out and about, because you're going to hear stuff. You're going to hear some negative talk. You're going to see some negative stuff, right? But you want to make sure you're not purging the subconscious, but in a safe and distraction-free place. But once you have to go out there and navigate through, make sure you're not purging the subconscious at that time, because that can allow for a revolving door. Okay? Be mindful. That's how we learn to be mindful. Along with keeping our empathy under control. Yes. So that way, nothing, no matter what is going on out there, we don't get easily distracted by it, and we don't get thrown off. And we don't allow ourselves to be thrown off guard. That's a lesson I just learned recently. So for whoever needs that one, right? Let's say, for example, you're in your place, you're settled, you're doing whatever it is that God has called you to do. And let's say you go get your dinner out of the oven and you're getting ready to eat, and you hear a knock at the door. Because, yeah, I had to learn. Don't let that throw you off guard. We have the power and authority to not allow it to do. You're right, not to allow that to do that, because I was not expecting anybody. I hadn't invited nobody over. I'm like, no. And oh, y'all gonna love this one. Okay, I got to share this. But I was talking to my biological dad recently. And I was sharing with him the Jezebel neighbor story. And so what I've noticed is that, right, aside from trying to trick me into thinking they actually got thrown out when they didn't, because they removed it's like a welcome mat on the outside, right? Yeah, right, a little mat that you typically would wipe your feet on before going in, right? Okay. Well, they moved it, or they removed it. So of course I'm going to not assume, but because they told me they were getting thrown out, so I was like, okay, I don't know anything else, right? And so I was like, well then, no, it's a mirroring thing, because I don't have one for my door. I'm not the only one. There's several others who don't, but we know what's up, right? Trying to copy, because I don't have a welcome mat in front of my door. And so my biological dad said, yeah, because nobody's welcome. Anywho, I had to share that. It was funny. And I busted out laughing and said, well, I mean, in a way, but it's just, it's just, I don't need one. Chosen ones are not messy, so it's like, I don't need one. So, yes, honesty from my biological dad. That's right. Okay. Yeah, the mommy look or the daddy look. Right. And it shows them, there you go. That's it, right? If they are trying to pull something and you give them that look, that you can see through what they're trying to do, it just basically lets them know that you're not impressed. And so they have to knock it off. But yeah, we are the ones who have control of our thoughts. Absolutely. Yep. All of that. There you go. You move past those fiery darts. All of them will come to pass. Absolutely. Great way. There you go. See, that's for anybody who needs it right there. Is that you got to remind yourself. Remember, in trauma healing, in the spiritual awakening, yeah, even beyond when you are fully healed, yeah, we still got to remind ourselves of stuff. It's so important to remind ourselves that it'll pass. This will come to pass. It's gonna come to pass. It's not gonna last forever. It's gonna come to pass, and it always does. Absolutely. And so, don't fall for any false spiritual isms. That's right. Be not deceived. So I want y'all. There you go. A good example. Particularly Eastern mysticism stuff. Thank you for pointing that out. Oh my gosh, yes. Don't fall for that. Yeah, watch out for any so-called spiritualism. Very good. Thank you, Chris. Very good. Don't fall for those. Okay, those are all part of witchcraft. Yep. And so we keep the authority and power on the inside of us. We keep it and learn how to get control of our thoughts. And we can. So for anybody who got that stage of, okay, so we're getting control of our thoughts. Now how do we get better organized in thoughts and action? Hey, well, that's where the 5P coaching course comes. Because if you are at that season, right, if you're at that season, you're unpacking that bag or it's time to. So when you enroll in that course, first thing you'll see some PDF downloads, okay, where you can talent, gift, and then new skills to learn. For you to print out as many copies as you need. Same thing with the lessons for all 5 steps. Copies of that workbook. That's why y'all get lifetime access to that course. Because it'll take a little while to learn how those P's work simultaneously and get the hang of it. It does. I know it took me over a year. So it would have been nice to have something like that course for me in the beginning. And I did, pretty much. I came up with that. And then I borrowed some concepts from other training and things like that, like the SMART goals. I'm not the only one who has that, but I fine-tuned and tweaked them to make them fit the 5P. God is the author of that, right? After all, what did God do with us? Come on now. Right? He chose us before he formed us in the womb, which means he did what? He had a plan. Right? He said, this is my chosen one. This is the plan I have for them. Then he starts to form us in the womb. What's he doing as he's forming us in the womb? Preparing. Right? Now that is a lifetime thing that he does with us. But I want y'all to help put it in perspective now. How God is the author of the 5P. Come on. Forming us in the womb. He's preparing us. No, I'm not going to use a food analogy. Okay? So then when we are birthed, what's God doing? We are produced. Here we are. So then we start to go through childhood development, more preparation taking place, right? Okay, now we're here. We get put in our caregiver's arms, right? Now we're in position. We get put in that caregiver's arms. Now we're put in position to be nurtured, fed, bathed, clothed, all that, right? And then we're given a name, right? They give us a name. Like Michelle Dickey, Chris Miller. That's right. And many of y'all Rose, Adam, whatever. You're given a name. Okay, so now you have a name. What does that do? Now you're being promoted. Can't be promoted without a name. Think about it. So that's to help y'all put it in perspective. Because that's how God works. And so now you go through those 5 P's throughout your life. You utilize those things, don't even realize it. And a lot of things that we do every single day. Yep, that's right. Especially when it comes to cooking. Oh, yeah. And so we are coming up on the 1.5 hour mark. So I want to go ahead and you will finally have some. I mean, you're somebody anyhow, but more so when you have a name to promote. And so, yes, that brainwashing definitely does do that. It causes people to give up control of their thoughts, which is what the devil wants, is for people to give up control of their thoughts so that he can get in there and continue to manipulate their emotion, which are directly tied to thoughts. Think about that. So what do? We learn to separate them. Right? Because emotions are spiritual energy emotion, right? Okay. Thoughts are also spiritual energy. But we have to separate them so that we don't allow our emotions to control us and then give up control of our thoughts. So it takes a while, yes, to learn how to think positively, but you can do it. That's the thing. It's all part of the renewing of the mind so that we can develop that can-do attitude. Yes, you can. All right, after this whole world told you your entire life that you weren't going to be able to do this or that because of this or that, unlearn those excuses, because with God, all things are possible. So if you want to learn it, you can do it. If you want to, tackle whatever it is that your dreams, your vision, think about it. Your vision, your goals and things, that's from God. Chosen one, everything that our heart desire, as long as it's righteous and for the right reason, God's going to grant them. Absolutely. Because God is a promise keeper. Yeah. Loads of courses out here to try. Absolutely. And we've got more coming to CHA Academy as well. I highly encourage y'all to check that out. Okay, everybody, at CHA Academy, because we've got fellow warrior who can attest that information is very valuable. It's going to help you. The tried and true technique that you can put into action right away. Then how the trauma bond is formed will definitely give you a much better understanding. So when you walk by and somebody says, "Hey, I like your shirt. Nice try with the love bomb." Complete stranger, where we used to think, "Oh, that's nice, thank you." And right. And then what did we used to do? Oh, come on now. Some of us, somebody would say, "Hey, I like your shirt." "Oh, thank you. I got it on sale at Kohl's for..." We quit doing that. That was a love bomb. Now, you can still be polite, say thank you, but leave it at that. We no longer over-explain. Remember, over-explaining is a trauma response. I want everyone to understand that. Now, there's a difference between if we are teaching a course and we know that further explanation may be needed on this particular point. That's different when it comes to, let's just say, master classes, courses, you know, things that are similar to academia, all right? That's different. Talking about the example I just gave the complete stranger. They didn't ask where you got it. They didn't ask if it was on sale. Why are we telling them? Hey, that's a narc flea. Those narcissists do that all the time. Exactly. Well, thank you. Say award winning. I appreciate that, fellow warrior. Thank you. But the courses are simple. They're not complex. I don't bog y'all down with unnecessary jargon. Mm-mm. God is a simple God, and we are all about simplifying the complex. You will find that on the homepage of the website. And again, real quick, everybody, I want to let y'all know you're going to see some changes in the navigation menu on the website, okay? Real quick before I forget. So, for example, if you come across an older video where I tell you that you can find the individual session by clicking on individual session in the navigation menu, you will find the individual session by clicking on consulting and coaching session in the navigation menu. That's where they're located. Group session, life skills session, and individual session are all under consulting and coaching session. All right, that's where they are for anybody who needs that update, if you will. I know, see, we had to learn, you know, and so I know that there's going to be some older videos. Some people will be like, don't hesitate to reach out, y'all. If you come across an older video that says something is located here, like under the the BTBW magazine, my book publication, they're all combined now. Okay, so if you come across something that tells you you'll find it under this in the navigation menu, and you go to the navigation menu and it's not there, email me. Okay, because that means that it's been updated and I can tell you where it's at. Okay, so there you go. It's still there. Okay, whatever it is, it's still there. It's just been combined with another, let's just say, menu item, another collection. It's been combined. All right, so that's what's going on there. So I just want to give everybody a heads up. If we're doing some improvement, you know, remember, there's always room for improvement. This is why God says for y'all, man, just got to get started. You ain't got to have it all figured out right away. See, when we first launched, so much has happened. So many things have gotten put in position. God says, okay, now I need you to declutter a little bit. Got some things that are interrelated that we need to combine into one. Make it easier for you all to navigate. Say, okay, want to know, would I accept an honorary doctorate if it were offered? Well, I'm already getting one. I'm already getting a doctorate. Oh, you're would I accept one? That's a good question. Well, I have accepted the President List Awards from undergrad, and so I don't know. I guess I have to think about that for a moment. Would I accept an honorary? Ooh, good question. I wonder what God would say about that. Because I haven't come across anything that says that we can't. I could be wrong. Let me think on that. Let me work out that salvation and see where God leads me to with that. I'm not getting any, you know what? Thank you, Heavenly Father. What is this spiritual battle all about, right? Exactly. Not letting things go to our heads. So yes, I would accept it. It's not going to go to my head. God just answered the question for me. I was like, oh, as long it is okay to accept certificate and award. After all, y'all get a certificate of completion, right? That's kind of like an award for completing one of the courses at the academy, right? Just don't let it go to your head. That's the bottom line. Okay, yeah, on the honorary doctorate, yeah, it would be fine. Because I'm not going to let it go to my head. Just like those other certificates and awards and things. I got the leadership award in undergrad. I got tons of stuff. But none of it goes to my head. When we earn things, we earn them. By studying, getting good grades, and then for us up here, preaching, teaching, ministering, serving, not sitting on our talents and gifts, right? That's right, not sitting on our talents and gifts. Not supposed to. Remember, God said, a man's gift maketh room for him, and will bring him before great men. Right, where is that at? That is Proverbs 18:16. Right? Yep. So we're not to do that. So everything that we bring to you all, talent and gift, listen, I'm going to tell you that the knowledge that we have, even mixed with, God's wisdom, with the basic scientific fact, that earthly knowledge, it fits to help explain, why the trauma bond is like a drug addiction. That's why God had me get that toxicology mastered, so that I could help y'all understand the manipulation in the brain chemistry is what leads to the trauma bond, and why it's like an addiction. You get addicted to the abuser. You get addicted to the abuse. That's what the devil wants. And then many of us, chosen one, mind you, we start to outgrow the liking to anything that would give us, we don't want an adrenaline rush anymore. No. Those things, it's like, no thanks. Because we're like, it's negative. That's right. It's negative. Adrenaline rush, come on, think about it. We're like, oh, gosh, no, those days are gone. But the evildoers, the demonically possessed, well, that's another component to how demonic possession works, right? Got to get them addicted to their adrenaline. Because the adrenaline does what? Yeah, pumps them up and causes them to do what? As their parasympathetic nervous system is a little bit numb from all the radio frequency, right? Okay, but see, they don't know that. Addicted to their adrenaline, not in full control of themselves. They don't have a mind body spirit connection, right? So without at least a mind body connection, meaning, oh, there's my thigh muscle, right? Okay, they don't have that. They do not have that. So they're addicted to their adrenaline. What does that do? Like I talk about on the Patreon channel. Chris can back me up on this. On the Patreon channel, I break it down for y'all about that radio frequency. But it's also that they're addicted to their adrenaline, and they do what? Get all hyped up, right? That's what makes them feel as though they exist. And so they start rushing, right, to do stuff. They feeling good, right? They feeling high on that adrenaline. And then, boop, accident happens. Where they got to go? Boop, to the M matrix. It's that simple. That's that cycle. Because chosen one, like I've said before, we've never been, at least not easily, accident prone. Chosen one, no. That's why these narcissists across our path end up doing things like spiking our drink and physically assaulting us while we're out to put us where? That's the only way they could do it. The only way the enemy could do it, because we are not hypochondriacs. We don't run to that. Now, mind you, discernment, we do go for our regular exams for, this part, like if you've got glasses, contact, hearing aid, partial, come on now. Like, I'm not talking about that normal, routine kind of stuff. I'm talking about the fact that we're not dependent on man. Again, discernment, if something happens and it's severe enough, yes, we do. It's all about that discernment. I'm talking about the fact that we don't run to it over every little thing. That's what I'm talking about. And they know it. The evildoers can't stand it because they themselves are dependent on that. And they will run to that for every little thing. but chosen ones don't. Yes, the doctorate is right. It's in forensic psychology. Yes, sir. A grant to go along with the honorary. Well, of course. Oh, speaking of, thank you for bringing that up, fellow warrior. Okay, there's another update that's been done to our service grants page on the website. God had me take a look. When I originally launched that page, when he said it's okay for us to accept pledges for service grants, I have a page on the website and I had some amounts listed, like 12 different amounts. And he told me, he said, I need you to change that. I said, okay, Heavenly Father, I got you. And so those amounts have been reduced. He told me I needed to be, because I was thinking, all right, let me share it with you all, because our thoughts are not God's thoughts, all right? Because I was operating under the mentality that I had to lose. By the way, y'all are not alone on this journey of purging that subconscious, okay? Because when I first started with the business, I had learned about business grants. And so I was going through the process, and I, came across a few things. I gave that a try, and then because some amounts for business grants, if you win, right, if you are selected, would be like 25 grand or 50 grand or something like that. So I was thinking along the lines of that when it came to grants. And God said, honey child, he said, these are people who are supporting your ministry. Right? These are not, organizations also. But he said, I need you to think more in terms of school grants, because our universities get grant, and for top, I know how the world with narcissism, but that's the way it's designed. That's the rule. They are to distribute certain amounts of grants to the 4.0ers. And so when I would look in and see that, oh, okay, so this quarter, this term, I received a $1,500 grant through the school. Oh, grants are, you don't have to pay those back. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. God said, I need you to think in terms of that kind of grant. And I said, oh, you're right. Yeah, because so you'll see service grant number 1 and then through 12. And number 1 starts at 250. Now, also at the bottom in that collection, if you don't see the amount you prefer, I give you the PayPal. So you can, if you want to pledge a service grant at whatever, we highly appreciate it. Okay, seriously, everything goes right back into the community, obviously, so I can come up here and continue to answer y'all's questions, video requests, explain to you how the spiritual realm works, and more to help you heal from this. Oh my gosh, man, life being fully healed from trauma. Come on now. Oh gosh, yes. Once you get, I'm telling you, yeah, you're gonna find ways to protect that peace. Oh yeah, you are going to find ways to protect that peace. Absolutely. And so, by the way, the PayPal thingy is also in the video description below for quicker access as well. So thank you in advance. Thank you to all who have, by the way, and to all who will. We appreciate you. And I'm happy to have you all. I'm joyful to have you all as part of this growing community of spiritual warriors for Christ on this journey together. As God reveals more about the spiritual and what we're really dealing with, what we're up against, and why things have occurred the way they have, why our entire life, all of this was kept from us, all of this was hidden, like we weren't, why? Because I know I went through that season too. Of course, we can't go with the shoulda, coulda, woulda, no, because that's living in the past and a pity party. But we do often entertain the thought, man, what would it have been like if we had known about this 20 years ago? For some of us, all right, and this is November of 2023. I'm like, now I could tell you, while we were teenagers, we would not have been able to understand any of this at all. Maybe some, but there's a lot of components. And see, God knew that, right? And so as a developing teen, going into adult, our youth and then adulthood, yeah, we weren't going to grasp God's spiritual truth the way they needed to be grasped. Okay, he knew that. Because I would tell y'all, I know myself. If I was 15, at 15, if God had revealed this stuff at age 15 for me, I would have been like, oh, gosh, no. Right? We would have been like, oh. We would have been scared out of our minds. Think about it. When you come across the narcissist, the demonically possessed, and you think of the word demonic, right? That age, what were we being shown pictures of? Oh, yeah. Pretty scary pictures, huh? Think about it. God knows what he's doing. Absolutely. This is another reason why we know, hey, we let the Heavenly Father do what the Heavenly Father does best. Exactly. Education grant. And there you go. Thank you, Chris. That's exactly why God told me to start thinking in terms of educational, because I am an educator. Absolutely. Yeah, movie, scary on the demon. Yeah, exactly. We were too young. That's okay, Chris. I know you didn't know about that as far as on the website. That's okay. That's okay. It's really, that is just one way set in stone for people who would be, oh, okay. And then if you listen, if the amount not listed, the way you've been doing it, fine. The way others have been doing it, that's absolutely fine. So, yeah. But yeah, we would not have responded very well based on what we have been shown to be demonic, right? Demons. So God knew he had to wait till we grew up, right? We had to grow up a little bit. And so many of us, when we, about our mid-30s, if you will, start to realize, okay, hold up. I've put some things just start falling off naturally. And so as we continue on and we realize that, okay, we got to make some changes, and then God awakens us to and from all of that, start learning about narcissism and narcissists, and then we realize, oh, so the devil doesn't have a big, ugly red face with black horns. No, the devil doesn't. The devil looks like every single narcissist that gets sent across our path. Right? Absolutely. That the narcissist looks like every single the devil looks like every single narcissist that we come across. So now we're old enough to understand that the pictures that we were shown, depicting what hell the demonic realm looks like. The demonic realm, you want to know what the demonic realm looks like? Go outside. Go outside and take a look at that narcissistic matrix. That's the demonic realm. Yeah. Because what do you see? A lot of that, the symbols, right? Yeah, never forget. I mean, why would a particular industry adopt, that stake and then a snake wrapped around it? Why? That's demonic. Oh yeah, listen, y'all, my friend's toxicology degree came from the School of Pharmacy with the University of Florida. And when we graduated, they gave us a little keychain and it had that symbol on it. As soon as I learned the truth about that, oh yeah, I tossed that sucker. That keychain went in the trash. I went, oh, well then. Now the knowledge I have is still very useful, but I got rid of that keychain. Oh, real quick. Yeah. I did not. Yeah, because I didn't know. Those who didn't know, now you do. Because what do you think that represents, right? A stake in the ground. Think of a graveyard. right? You know, those metal, a metal stake that, let's say, the tent that you put up and it's got a string and you got to put a metal stake, right? Okay, that stake, but there's a snake wrapped around it. Huh? What do we know about the devil? Here's a serpent. Ding, 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 ding. What's a serpent? Snake. And what do the Jezebels have? Snake-like pupils. That's not a coincidence. Let that sink in. Yep. That's right. Exactly. Showing all those pictures. Yep. Showing all those pictures of what the enemy wants people to think is demonic or looks demonic. That way they don't ever notice the stake with the snake wrapped around it. And not give power to it. Exactly. The Hippocratic oath. I've not heard of that, but I will tell you that, yes, there are a lot of oaths that people say unknowingly that is making an oath to the devil and the demonic realm. When they are sworn in, unknowingly, a lot of them don't know, y'all. A lot of people just don't know that as soon as you open that door and you walk out there, it's like I see on my walks when I go to the sidewalk. That, and I see that symbol on every fire truck, ambulance. Come on now. It represents death. That's what that symbol, well, part of what that symbol represents. The big part of it. So there, hey, listen, that's not a secret. Right? That is also down in the rabbit hole, and it's all over TikTok. Okay, you all. So I'm not telling you all something that others don't know. I'm sharing it with y'all. For those who may not know, now you're paying attention. That's a demonic symbol. That's the demonic realm out there. Yeah, and you know what? The thing is, fellow warriors, I want to tell y'all something, though. There are good people that are in that industry. Yeah, there are. Remember, cosmic balance. They don't know that when they took the oath, they don't know that that's what they did. Okay, so you do have some good ones, but you do have those who do know what it is and were able to mitigate that. True believers, because God had to have some of his there too. God's not ever going to give his control over to the devil. You got to remember that. Okay, so let me clarify here. When I say that is a symbol of demonic activity, it's a demonic symbol, yeah. But that doesn't mean that everybody in that industry is demonically possessed. But I've come across a few here and there throughout my life who are not. I had one I went to see who was very, very hesitant about putting me on a particular prescription. She was very hesitant. She was a good one. She did not want to give me anything for no, she didn't. So you got to remember that. Okay? God had to keep the cosmic balance. So there you go. All right, so I wanted to step in and let y'all know that take that discernment. Okay, it takes discernment to be able to tell. And plus, I had another one during a time where I asked her if I needed to get an iron supplement, and she just looked at me and she said, she said, our bodies have an amazing way of like repairing itself. So that was her way of saying, nah, give it time. That nutrient will restore itself. And we now know why, because God is a restoration God. So there was another good one. Okay? So, there you go. Got to have that discernment. All right? We cannot go around thinking like narcissists that, oh, the world all bad. No. All right? But not everybody. Only the narcissists are demonically possessed. Some of them, some of the professional, right? Power trip. If they let their position go to their head, exactly. A lot of them do that. There are there are narcissists who will obtain those positions for the power trip, absolutely, and special treatment and the stroke their ego. But then on the flip side, you have others who don't do it for that reason. You have some who will go into it for the right reason. So you've got that balance. Remember, law of polarity. All right, everybody. So that wraps this one up. Like I said, I didn't know how long we were going to go. Where the Holy Spirit leads is where the Holy Spirit leads. And so I appreciate everybody. And even those of y'all, if you catch this on the replay and you've got any questions, do not hesitate to reach out. That's what we're here for. So now you've got a better understanding of a bunch of stuff, but primarily how demonic possession works. The human hosts are controlled by their demons through their thoughts. So it's that simple, but we broke it down for you to help y'all get the bigger picture. And during the first 30 to 40 minutes, during the first half hour of this stream, we really, and then throughout. So there you go, everybody. And you got to keep on keeping on, all right? And if you've got video requests, remember, I take those. Absolutely. We'll dive into it. 100%. I am Michelle Dickey, your host for CHA's Let's Just Chat show, streaming on the YouTube channel, Narcissism and Cognitive Dissonance, where trauma healing and spiritual growth are front and center. Yes, trauma healing and spiritual growth occur with God's wisdom, basic scientific facts, tried and true techniques, and more. Here and at CHA Academy, btbw.com. The link to the Academy is also in the video description below for quicker access. Some of you may have to copy and paste the link to see what CHA Academy offers to help you level up your trauma healing and spiritual growth. Sending love and light to all fellow warriors. Thank you for watching, listening, and for your support. Till next time, let's show some gratitude to the Heavenly Father. And you keep being you. In Jesus' name, amen.